I like very much get the Mishnah. Okay. Oh, nice to see you, Chesky. How are you doing? I've seen you a few times on the computer. It's not quite the same as seeing you live. That's right. The screen is not quite as exciting. Ben Tully tells me that your tefillahs worked yesterday.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely.
Oh, you see, yes. Moshe wants the winding down from Mashiach. Your tefillahs worked or something.
Oh. Unfortunately, that one hasn't worked yet.
It's damned. Okay. Seriously speaking, we need to get going because we've got a lot to do. We're up to Daf Pei Tessim with Aleph for Mishnah. I'd like to get to Daf Tzadik with Aleph for Mishnah. Because Friday we never quite do as much. Nice, easy topics. Somebody says to his sons, I'm going to shech the Korban Pesach to the first one who gets to Yerushalayim gets a portion. That means the father's going to go, what? A race. Why is he doing a race? Because he's going Erev Pesach afternoon. He's going at 12:1 to Yerushalayim. And his children are still busy baking matzahs and cleaning up for Pesach. And he's scared they won't get to Yerushalayim. So he says that you'll get to Yerushalayim in time for Nacht, but make sure to get there properly in time. The first one gets. The Gemara in the Havman understands, that he's only allowing one. We'll see in a minute how that works. Kivin, is his sons? No, that's a very good question. Little children or big children? Pastor was talking about big children. It's a good question. I can't go into it. It's machlokes Hashem. It's machlokes Hashem to little children, big children. It depends a little bit on that machlokes Hashem mentioned yesterday. If by little children they don't need minui, or they need minui, but the father's minui is good enough. The one who gets his head and most of his body in, and his brothers also get. So if you ever have a race and you want to know who gets the first, let's say you get your finger in first, and then your younger brother gets his head in first and most of his body, who wins the race? The one who gets most of his body in first. It doesn't go according to... What? Oh, the Gemara discussed. Let's see the Gemara. The Gemara first tackles how the person himself gets it. Because at the time of the Shechita, we didn't know who was going to get there first. It's only mafia, so it's retroactive designation. Oh, that's what your dads go for. So therefore, how does it work? How does that determine? He doesn't care at all. Really, he's going to be mezakeh to all his children. The only reason he says it doesn't mean anything at all. All he means is to get it fast. And really, who's he including? Everybody. Oh, very good. And you didn't pray up because he did. I will have to find out about the eyes. I haven't given him an answer yet. Well, if you share the Korban Pesach, would you eat the eyes? You have to tell me. I want to know whether to let you join us by Korban Pesach. Okay, let's get it clear. That means, no, you might. It's not only the eyes. What about the stomach? What about the liver? Not the liver. The liver is okay. The lungs. You'll eat the lungs? I don't know. It has to be edible.
Why is it edible?
Okay, we're getting off the point. He says, his brothers get with him. If you say that they're all included, Shapi, that makes a lot of sense. If you say that the father only means the one who gets there first and not the rest of them, so then the boss of the shochid, Mikom Ismanu, so the other ones are getting, the more they have been understood, that the one who gets it, he lets them join into his portion. But that you can't do, because you can't join in a portion after shchita. But now, you can add or come off the group, only till the shchita. That means the Gemara says 2 points. First of all, the son is not because of Brera, because he wants all his children. And second of all, if not for that svara, how would it be that the other children get it? The Havana of the Gemara understood that the one who gets it then tells the other ones, you can join in with me. But the halach is you can't join or not join only while the animal is still alive, not later. Another third proof. One time the father said this statement and the girls got there first. The girls were zvizim and the children, the boys, were lazy. Now, says Rashi and Aman that what's the point of here? If it is true that he only meant those who get there first, we would have used a much harsher language. We would have said the girls got Korban Pesach and the sons did not get Korban Pesach. The fact that we just say the girls are zvizos and the boys are not is to teach us that what? That everybody got Korban Pesach. Only the girls had the added benefit that there was zvizim makdimim and the boys never had that. New topic. The halacha is you're allowed to change your mind constantly about which chabur you want to be with until the korban is shechted. There are two aspects, adding and minusing. Adding means I want to join your chabur. Minusing means I want to come off a chabur. Says the Mishnah, you can add shiur kazayis cholechot ve'echot. Until there's a kazayis for each one. If there's less than a kazayis, it's no good. So let's say there's a normal lamb. How many lambs? I'd say 100 kazayis. You can have a maximum of 100 people. You can add a minus a seden mimenu until it is shechted. Shimon allows you till the zvika. No, we never said this before. We discussed that you have to know b'shad zvika the comments in the discussion. Oh, that's the more discussed. That's very good. You could end up being stuck in the middle. Yes, that's good. But first, we'll ask Kasha, what's the olam? The olam means always. What's the chiddush always? Well, it says, Rashi and others explain like this. That let's say all of us join one group and we all want to move over, there's a machlekes tanoim later. Shittas Rabbi Yehuda is at least one of us has to stay with the first group. Our Mishnah is disagreeing with that opinion and says we can all move over. So the olam over here is coming to teach us that everybody can transfer from one group to another until there's nobody left in the first group. Machlokes li moshech. The machlokes when you can come off. The ones of
if there's nobody left in that group,
yes.
Will
come possible. Yes.
The guy who owns it.
No. If everybody can change their minds, we'll see about the guy who owns it later.
You can't make it work. You're allowed to do that.
I mean, it's machlokes tanoim. Our Mishnah says everybody can transfer. Everybody can transfer. It says machlokes li moshech to come off. The bonus of the Yossi to say why the sheep is still alive. Rabbi Shimon have a Yossi to say why the sheep is still a kosher korban that's still zvika. Avalimno is but to add on. Everybody agrees until he shecht. Right? What does the word techosu mean? There are two translations of the word techosu. Two different translations. What are two translations? At least one of the translations of the word what? Techosu. No, that's lechasus. No, techosu and techosu means to shecht. Kois means to shecht. So you can only shecht, you can only count until the time of the shechita. You can add and minus till shechting. You can add until the shechita, but to come off till zvika. So like this, you have to, if you want to come off of one, according to the Tanna Kama, you want to join another one. Both Tanna Kama and Rabbi Shimon agree that it has to be alive. But to what's the word for it? To come off. According to Rabbi Shimon, you can come off once it's shechted until zvika. Very good. That's the machlokes. No, because it could be three different chaburs.
No,
the three different.
It
depends how long. It won't take very long. Kind of quite fast.
No, is it straight follow on?
Yeah, it's straight follow. Straight follow. That means there was a load of kedim. We talked about it, all cups in the hand, and then they would pass it along. Okay. Says more test today, top of the page. Let's say we all agree to do a chabur, and we all join together, and I decide to invite somebody else to join in with me without asking your permission. Oh, the Gemara discusses that. They can all say, fine, you take your portion, Yehuda. That means they'll say, you take your piece, and then divide it with the person you invited without asking, and we'll eat from the rest of it. We don't want to have less common Pesach just because you decided to be kind on somebody else's cheshbon. It's not always so nice. So you've got to... What? It's chavlach. It says, one of them has got nice hands, which is a euphemism for somebody who's a glutton. Somebody eats very, very fast. So what happens is, can they say to him, get out? Take your portion and get out, because we don't want... That's right. Or, do we say, what do you mean? We agreed that we're going to share the common Pesach. When we accepted this, we wanted that there should be enough people, that there shouldn't be noises, so we wanted you to join in. We never wanted you to eat more than us. So if one person is a glutton, can they say to him, go away? It is important to point out that we did have, Rashi already points this out, is that we had a machrikas previously, if anyone remembers, that we eat Korban Pesach, or you're allowed to move from one place to another. So Rashi says, this whole sugya is according to the Mandama that you are allowed to split. Otherwise, there's no shayla. That's what Rashi says. Others explain to Isis and Maybe say that they could say to him, this is your portion, you don't have to walk away, but stop, you can't take from the rest of us. That means, again, we'll see later a similar kind of shayla, but shayla is like this, that not necessarily is our sugya going to. Rashi says it's going according to the Mandama that you are allowed to tell him to move away, and now the whole shayla is, can you force him to move away? Toshima. If somebody invites somebody on this portion, if you invite somebody, what does the Mishnah say? If you invite somebody, then he has to eat your portion. You can't eat their portion. It's similar to the idea of somebody who's a glutton. If you can say that since you invited me, I'm entitled to eat as much as I want, they should be exactly the same. What's the difference between a glutton or somebody invites another friend? The fact that the Mishnah says if you invite a friend, you've got to take your portion and divide your portion is divided. A glutton is the same thing. Look. When you've got different opinions, it's different, right? Even if the two of us together only eat like one of you, we don't want a stranger with us. They should say different reasons why a person might not want a stranger, either because he'll delay the matters and we don't want to delay, or he'll cause machlokas, cause dissent. Either way, a person can say, I don't want to have a stranger around with me when I'm eating. And it's nothing to do with a glutton. And you can't compare. In fact, this asks the question, which disturbed me. This got complicated, so I'm not going to go into it. That really, the comparison is not at all similar. Because if you think about it, when I invite somebody, so the point is, I'm accepting, that this person is allowed to eat. I never rationed how much. But here he's actually inviting a complete stranger. That person, we never even discussed about it. What's the Gemara's havamina? That there should be the similarity. That's Tesis Kasha, it's a top Tesis. But Maisa, the Gemara's answer is indeed that you can't compare two opinions, two personalities, where even if they eat less than one person, it's still more disturbing than having one person who's a normal person. Because who says we want him in the group? And therefore you can say, I don't want him. Toshima, Hashamash, we talked about this before. This is going according to the Mishnah that says that a person is not allowed to move from one group to the next. So what happens if the person who's roasting the Korban Pesach gets peckish and he takes a little bit of the Korban Pesach? What's the halacha?
He's not counted with it. That doesn't matter. No, you can carry on somewhere else.
No, he's part of the chabur. That becomes his place, and he won't be able to eat elsewhere. Right? Imagine you're roasting the Korban Pesach, you take a bit to eat. So if he's wise, he should eat and eat and eat, because he's not going to get any more food elsewhere. If you want to be kind to him, if they want to do him a favor, they come and sit next to him. And in that way, he doesn't have to stress himself. And in that way, he's not moving from one place to the next. Again, once you start eating, you can't go to another place going to this Tana. So if the waiter starts pecking at the food, he has to stay there. So the Tana says two options. Yeah, it's part of the chabur.
Why would he be able to go elsewhere?
Because this machluk is, are you allowed to move from one to the next? This Tana holds you're not allowed to. So give him two options. Either eat what you can while you're there, and later, once you start serving, you won't be able to eat anything else because you serve elsewhere. Normally, you don't eat where it's being roasted. You normally roast in one corner and eat another corner. So you'll be able to eat anything. But the other option is that if the people around are pleasant, kind people, they'll come to him. Says the Gemara, if they want, yes, if they want, not. He should say to them, you accepted me. So again, let me explain. The difficulty of somebody who's a glutton is similar to the difficulty of moving places. And just like if you would hold that a glutton, you've got to allow him to stay by the meal, so too we would expect, the Gemara at this stage anyway, expects us to say that if a glutton's good, that means if you're forced to accept a glutton, you're forced to accept that you have to move places. And if that's the case, why are they, if they want, they should be forced to eat with him? There's the Gemara, Shani Hasam Dom Wileki Kamil no Chadati Come on. We employed you that you should work for us. We took you on that you should make it easier for us, not for us to make it easier for you. It's not like a normal guest. A waiter is not a normal guest. And therefore, maybe for a glutton, indeed, you're forced to take him on. But a waiter that we should all move places just to make the waiter eat more, you can't compare. One of them has nice hands. By the way, nice is a euphemism, obviously. We're talking about he got... Take your portion and go. So what's the halacha? You can get rid of him. So what's that shayla? We had a shayla before. Can you get rid of him? What? Take an equal portion and go. No, that's a machlokas we said. That Beis said this either go into another room or go, meaning you can't eat anymore. So again, that means we're passing the shayla. We had a shayla. If you got a glutton, can you say to him, you can't eat more? Yes, you can. If 5 people join a party, we're showing him explain the one. We're talking about a party where everybody contributes equal amounts of money. Let's say every one of us gives £10 towards a supper, nothing to call Pesach. And we're all eating supper together. And suddenly one of you noticed that I'm eating. The halacha is, you can say, wait a second, we made a shutfus. The halacha is, no. We're showing him, you're allowed to say go. It says more shmami. No, it's a good proof. Why is it a bigger chiddush by a normal supper to a korban Pesach? The halacha should be the same. You could say about korban Pesach. The only reason we invited you was why we want to make sure there should be no noisa. By a party. When you invite somebody to a party, the pleasure of the party is to be part of the party. To say to somebody to go is much worse than by Korban Pesach. By Korban Pesach, the only reason I invite you is in order there should be no noise. I'm not inviting you to spend the evening together partying. That's not the purpose of the meeting. No, I'm inviting you. No. We want to be candidates correctly. By a party, it's a much bigger chiddush. Why? Let's see the more inside. Where the whole purpose of the party is to join together. Even so, if one of us is a glutton, you can say to him, look, you're a glutton, we don't want you for the party, even though the whole purpose of the party was to join together. That was never a shayla. A new shayla. Can a group of people, nothing to do with a glutton, can they decide that they want just to everybody cut up the korban Pesach into pieces and put in every piece, every person's plate what's the word for it? No, it's put in every person's plate his own portion. Do we put the korban Pesach in the middle and keep eating it, or can we split the korban Pesach into portions? If one of them is a glutton, if he's a glutton, yes. The halacha is we don't split the korban Pesach. Everybody sits around taking pieces from it, unless one is a glutton. You can't split the korban Pesach into portions, even if you're in the chabur.
I have to make sure that you can
Right, that's a different point. Everybody has to eat the kazayis, but we don't split it into... Why do you split it? It's probably got to do the idea of chabur achas te'ochel, it's meant to be eaten. Yeah. Or maybe by Sechad, the Torah says eat it as one group, so you have to eat it as in one group. That was an interesting story. A papa of Yisroel, Avivu with the Bade Adodi, they decided to have a meal together. This wasn't common place, to have a meal. While Ravuna was able to eat one piece of bread, Papa was able to eat 4 slices of bread. So Ravuna said, this is no good. I'm getting eaten out of house and home. Let's split. You said you invited me together. We can't just split up. You asked in the previous questions, the Shadid, and the answer like we answered, that the Shamash is because the Shamash is employed to work for them. The other Gemara that the Gemara says, inviting somebody else is because it's another person here, it's another person. So he asked him, from the first part of the B'nei Chabor, the Korban Pesach part. There, by Korban Pesach, you can kick him out because the whole purpose of the invitation was only to help us fulfill the mitzvah. But you invited me to a meal, not for Korban Pesach. He asked him from the second half of the Beis, where it says that even for a party, you can kick somebody out. So they split up. That means Ravuna was frustrated with Papa because he could eat 4 times as fast as Ravuna. And he proved to him from the party the last of the proofs, and they split up. I was like, oh, Badu Ravina. So Rav Huna went and invited Rav Huna instead. Rav Huna ate one. Ravina Tanya. Rav Huna could eat 8 times the speed. Oma Mea Poppy Ravina had been better off with 100 of poppers and not one Ravina. There's a lot of drush on this Gemara. I'll just say a little bit. Rabbi Yashiv says that Rav Huna was not a well person, and he didn't have a good appetite, and therefore he always made sure to eat with other people, because by seeing them eating and eating properly, they would encourage his own appetite. That's why he always made sure to eat with other people. And Faked were doing him a favor. It's actually chinuch point. If you want your children to eat healthy, you have to eat healthy in front of them. If you don't eat properly in front of them, they don't see you. The Chidusha of him says that the reason we eat together with different people is because when you eat with different people, sudas chaberim and hoggers of achila, and by seeing different behaviors, you learn to gain from everybody. Just like if you learn together, you see different ways of learning. You have to understand how to serve Hashem in different ways of eating. That's the whole idea. He also says this is quite complicated. It's brought down. I saw a couple of songs. He asks the question, and then he also says that Rav Huna ben Yeshua held that a person should be mamid and kvod shemaim, and there were some people like the visioners that held that you have to be malba kvod, you have to live by shiur, so different anhogas of how to behave. He asks a question like this: that mathematically it doesn't seem to make sense that having 100 of poppers is better than having one Ravina. A popper used to eat 4 slices for everyone, and a Ravina ate 8 slices for everyone. And he works it out that it does work. And as if somebody called Mr. Weingarten, who came from London for a few days for his classes on mitzvah, and he made a spreadsheet after he heard this answer to explain how it works out. Basically, work it out. The reason is like this. Try to use a simple example. Let's say we're all going to eat together. We all contribute, let's say, 10 slices of bread. Right? Okay, it's a bit mathematical, but anybody who's good at maths should know. Ben will be happy to. Ben, you're listening. Everybody brings 10 slices of bread. If you have 100 of poppers, so what happens is, I bring 10 slices of bread, and 100 of poppers bring 10 slices of bread. How many slices of bread is there? 1,010. Very good. We're getting very good. But popper, each one of them eat 4 for the speed that I eat 1. I eat 1. How many slices have gone already? 400. I eat another one. 404. I eat another one. No, 802. 802. How many is there still left? Enough for me to eat another half a slice with everybody else. Now, comes along Ravina, one Ravina. I bring 10 slices of bread. He brings 10 slices of bread. Because he said each person brings 10 slices of bread. I eat 1. Ravina eats 8. 9 gone. I eat 1. Ravina eats 8. Is how many left? 18 is only 2 left. Yeah. I won't be able to get half a slice of bread. I'll get less than half a slice of bread. So I'll end up with less. A better 100 of poppers with longer dinner. You with it or not? It's interesting. But there's a lot of terror about what was the ideas behind all this eating together. You see. Oh, this Gemara opens up a whole new world. And in fact, somebody told me that when he once gave a shiur on this Gemara, he skipped this out, went to the next Gemara, and then came back to this Gemara. But I don't feel it's right, so we'll try our best. It does require to listen a bit. So I buy a Korban Pesach. Think about it clearly. Here's my Korban Pesach. You see this sheep? It cost me £100, right? And now I'm not going to be able to eat it all myself. I'm not that big eater. I say to you, want to join? So you say yes. I say, okay, I'm going to charge you £10. You give me £10. Yes, it says clearly out. The money that you give me, I can do whatever I want. What will I do with it? I buy myself a new hat, buy myself some chocolate for Yom Tov, another volume of art scroll. So now, let's think very clearly. That £10, what happened to it? You, before you came to Yerushalayim, knew that you want to join the Korban Pesach. So what did you do? You took £10 of your pocket before you came to Yerushalayim, and you said, this £10 is Kadosh for Korban Pesach. That's what you said, right? Now, you took the money of Kedusha, and you bought with it the right to join my Korban Pesach, and now the money becomes Chulin. Now, this leads to a very big problem. Normally speaking, what you do is like this. You take money, you make it Kadosh. Then you take an animal which is not Kadosh, Let's say I go to you, I say, I want to buy a shlomim. Can I buy a shlomim off you? Yes, here's £100, give me your sheep. And you're a shepherd. So the £100, which is Kodesh, goes into your hands, becomes chulin. The money transfers Kedusha. You've got a picture like there's a Holy Spirit on the money. It transfers onto the sheep becomes Kodesh, and the money becomes chulin. Then this over here is a major problem. The £10 was Kodesh before you came to Yerushalayim. The sheep was Kodesh before you came to town. I say to you, you want to join my Korban Pesach? You say, yes, you give me the £10. So the Kedusha of the money, where did it go to? It didn't need to transfer to Korban. Until you have this question clear, there's no point carrying on because the whole Gemara discusses this question. Is it clear, the question? It should be such a simple question. You got the question clear?
But don't look at each person. It has like, let's say 100 people for one sheep, right? So you divide the sheep into 100, let's say 100 pieces.
We're talking about this case. You're right that we could have done it differently. We didn't do it differently. This is the way we did it. I was back to the sheep before I even met you. I didn't even know your name. I never ever met you before. That's right. That's the question. But let's get it clear. You could have done it like Chaim said. It says that they'll make it Kaddish and everybody give me £10 and then I go to toilet and buy it from the shepherd out for a sheep. But that's not what I did. I actually was makdish the sheep and made it fully Kaddish. Quite complicated. I want to finish the Mishnah. And then what happens is then I say to you, give me £10, give me £10, give me £10. And then I take the £10 to buy chocolates. Wait a second, what do you have to that £10? That £10, you were makdish it before you came to Yerushalayim in order to buy into my Korban Pesach. Where did the Kedusha go to? The Mishnah guys on a little bit of the Beis. Let's do it again. The money becomes chulin. If I've got a korban oila or shlomim and I sell it to you, you're not allowed to sell an oila and shlomim. So it's nothing. And the korban still belongs to me. The money which you give me, if I go up to you and I say to you, B'tzalel, here, I've got a korban oila, you want to buy it? You give me £10,000. You don't get it, I keep it, and the £10,000 goes to the Beis HaMikdash to be used for Olas Kaitz HaMizbeach. What's Olas Kaitz HaMizbeach? What is Olas Kaitz HaMizbeach? We've had it so many times. If the Mizbeach is not doing anything for a short time, we take the money and we buy korbanos and we just keep the Mizbeach going all the time. Keep the korbanos going. So again, you gave me £10,000 for my Ola, I keep it, and you've lost all your money. Why indeed does that happen? It's a knas. It's a knas. We don't want you to sell oilers and shlomim, so you've lost your money, and it's a knas. What do you mean, whatever it is? Even if the korban is only worth 4, and I sell it to you for 5, even that is a knas. So if I sell you an oiler, which is worth £4, and I sell it to you for £5, the whole £5 goes to Olas Kaitz HaMizbeach. We don't say £4 was for the korban, £1 was a matana, and let use the pound matana for something else. No. As a knas, everything goes to Olas Kaitz HaMizbeach. Efsha, maybe Yodi, perhaps would it only be Yodi Chavin Bavloi, if only my Babylonian friends would know Tamadai Milsa, the reasoning behind this price. He separated a sheep for his Pesach. He separated money. How can it possibly be that the money goes to Chulin? I don't understand, said Abullah. I don't understand. I wish that somebody could explain to me this statement. I don't understand it. How can it possibly be that if I've got a sheep which is Kaddish, you've got money which is Kaddish, and the money becomes Chulin, and I can buy with it whatever I want? How can it be?
Maybe when you give them the meat, the korban Pesach.
But that meat was Kaddish before you started. The meat was Kaddish before you started.
The minute you start eating it,
no, it doesn't. It's always Kaddish. How? No. Now, the Gemara tells us like this. I'm going to have to explain the time of back a little bit. The halacha is if you give a sheep to a woman for Esther and Zona, let's say a beer with a Zona, you say to her, instead of paying you money, I'll give you sheep. Can she use that sheep as a korban? No, she can't use it. Esther and Zona. What happens if I give her a sheep which is already a korban, and I say to her, here, this, you can put it, you can have it as a gift for the fact that you agree to have beer with me. And she says, okay. And she takes it. Can she put it on the Mizbeach? The Gemara says yes, you put it on the Mizbeach. The Gemara says, how do we know? Posuk, a special posuk. We'll see the Gemara later what the posuk is. The Gemara's question, which Gemara doesn't ask yet, which is one of the confusing things, is, it's obvious that she's allowed to. Why? The second I makdish this korban, let's say this is my oila, let's say. This is an oila. And I go to her and I say to her, here, this is yours on condition for beer. So she's allowed to take it on the Mizbeach. What's the chiddush? Of course she's allowed to. Why? The second I makdish it as a korban, who does it belong to? To Hashem, let's call it. It belongs to Hashem. Nobody can forbid something which doesn't belong to them. Can I forbid something that doesn't belong to you? If you make a korban, can I say I'm going to make out of it? Of course not. So once it belongs to Hashem, it's not under my jurisdiction. If it's not mine, what's the havamina?
Because the woodman is there on such a korban.
But you can't ask for it. It's not mine to talk about. It's like if I would go to and I say to you, the sheep, the korban which Toli has, that should be for you. Would that be awesome? No, but it's not mine. It's not mine.
Why does she agree?
Okay. Says the Gemara that there's one answer. One answer is like this: is we're talking about a korban shlomim. Sorry, a korban kodshim kalim. The halacha is a shittas Rabbi Yossi in many places in the Shas that kodshim kalim. Anybody know kodshim kalim? How many kodshim kalim do you know? Shlomim, Toida, B'choy, Ma'isa, and Pesach are all kodshim kalim. There's 5 categories of kodshim kalim. Rabbi Yossi says that there's all 5 of those categories. There's the only 5 which are by the kodshim kalim. Only 5. Shlomim, Toida, B'choy, Ma'isa, and Pesach. All of them, Rabbi Yossi holds they belong to the original owner. That's a shittas Rabbi Yossi. According to Rabbi Yossi, does it make sense, the whole thing? Yes. Because according to Rabbi Yossi, a kodshim kalim belongs to me. Since it belongs to me, so of course when I give it to her, it is mine. Of course it should be also. That's why we need a special pasuk to tell us that it's not us and you can put it on the Mizbeach. Is everybody following me? If we're going like Rabbi Yossi, who says that kodshim kalim belong to me, then of course we need a special pasuk because it belongs. Rabbi Ishia did not say that answer, and really Abaya wanted that answer. Rabbi Ishia gave another answer that we'll talk about a more complicated case, where you go to the zone and you say to it like this: I've got a korban Pesach. Now I can't eat the whole korban Pesach myself. So what I want is, I want to invite you to join in and eat some of my korban Pesach on condition that you agree to have znus with me. And she says yes. And the halacha is that she's allowed to join the korban Pesach. And for that you need a dvarsha. Why do you need a dvarsha? The answer is because there are 2 ways to look at a korban Pesach. I'm sorry, it is a bit complicated. Once you get used to the ideas, it gets a bit easier. There are 2 ways to look at it, and that is like this. When I buy off you the korban Pesach, going back to the original question that we had, the original question that we had was, what's the original question? Somebody else said, what's the original question? Right, I've given you £10 to buy into your korban Pesach. Where's the Kedusha go to? There are 2 ways to answer that question. One way is like this, is to say, when I makdish my money, I don't mean to make it Kaddish. What I mean is I'm designating it so that when I find somebody who's got a korban Pesach, I will then give it to him in order that he should give me the right of eating korban Pesach, meaning that the Kedusha of the money is not real Kedusha. That's one way to answer it. The money was not really Kaddish. It was only designated that I should have the right to buy it. Another way to answer it is to say that korban Pesach doesn't really become Kaddish, but rather when a person's makdish a korban Pesach, what he's doing is he's designating it that if anybody wants to buy in, they should be able to buy in. Says Rabbi Ishia that regarding korban Pesach, the latter answer is true, that the korban itself is not Kaddish. Since the korban itself is not Kaddish, therefore, a person is not, it belongs to the person himself, and therefore he's able to transfer it to the Esnan Zona, to the Zona. And that's why we need a special pasuk that Afal Pikain, you're allowed to bring it on the Mizbeach. And let's look more inside very slowly. What's?
First way.
The only one of those answers can be true. Right. Abai wanted to say, let's take it straight, Abai wanted to say that the answer is because the money is not Kaddish. But he was forced because of Rabbi Oisha. He agreed to Rabbi Oisha that the reason is that the korban is not Kaddish, not because the money is not Kaddish. Omar Abai. Ilav, if not for the fact that top of Tzadik Amud Aleph, top line. Omar Abai. Ilav, the Oikri Rabbi Oisha Laihi. If Rabbi Oisha would not have explained that Beis, which tells that Mishnah actually, that a person who invites who uses a korban for Esnan Zoina, we need a special pasuk to tell us that you're allowed to bring it on the Mizbeach. And the question is, why do you need a pasuk? It's obvious that you can put it on the Mizbeach. Since it's a korban, it doesn't belong to the person. Since it doesn't belong to the person, how do you pass it? So Beis answered, that he invited the Zoyna to join his Korban Pesach, and it's Shittas Rebbe that says that a person is allowed to invite a person to Korban Pesach for any reason. However, I would have said that Mishnah, which talks about Esnan Zoyna, I would have explained it. That means, if I would be up to me, I would have said that Mishnah by Esnan Zoyna is talking like Shittas Beis Aglili, that by Kochim Kalim it belongs to you, and since it belongs to you, therefore you're allowed to give it to somebody else, and that's why you need a special pasuk to tell you that it's not possible to go on the Mizbeach. But Rabbi didn't say like me. Rabbi explained we're talking about a specific case of Imamana Zoyna on the Korban Pesach, and therefore the reason is because the Korban Pesach does not have full Kedusha. However, Pesach, I would have said, Lo Meshai Inish. That I would have said, if not for Rabbi that Korban Pesach is not missing Kedusha, but it's fully Kaddish. And B'mois Vadei Meshai Inish. That a person's not really makdish his money. To be called Kemafish Lu. When a person separates money, that's why he separates it. And I would have explained this previous price on Daf Pei Tesam with Beis that tells us that you're allowed to buy into Korban Pesach and make it chulin. That's Shittas Beis in Rebbe. That's what money is chulin. You have to miss out the buckets. That which Rabbi will fit it in like Rebbe. I wouldn't have said it's like Rabbi the Pesach Meshayinish. But Korban Pesach, there's nothing left over. I don't want to explain my previous price of that Pei Testament Pesach Rabbi Yossi. It says that you can't sell an Oila and Shlomim, and according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, you're allowed to sell an Oila and Shlomim. Why are you allowed to sell a Shlomim? Because he holds this moment Kodshim Kalim. Now the Beis said that Mishnah is talking about Manazer Pischei. Rebbe, Shram no dispute after Pischei v'Shai Inish. Even the Korban Pesach, a person named so. I'm going to explain briefly again. We had a question. Person comes with £10 to buy Korban Pesach. The halacha is he can buy in, and the money becomes chulim. There are two different ways, two different schools of thought to explain it. Either the money wasn't really kaddish, or the Korban Pesach wasn't really kaddish. Came along Rabbi and said, I prefer to say that the money is not really kaddish. And if the money is not really Kaddish, I could have explained that previous price like Rebbe, the money is not Kaddish, and that is why you can buy in and the money becomes Chulin, because it never really became Kaddish. When you said the money was Kaddish, all you meant was that this is what I'm going to use to buy into the Korban Pesach. I didn't want to say it's a Beis Aglili. Does anybody remember, why did the buyer not just say that previous price that says you're allowed to buy a Korban Pesach with your money, why didn't you say it's a Beis Aglili? Say it's no, that's not the reason, because it says there in the same brisa that you can't sell a shlomim, and according to Beis Aglili, you're all allowed to sell a shlomim because Beis Aglili holds all kodshim kalim is moment by. Says I really wanted to say that previous price says because of the svara that the money is not kaddish. But I see from Rabbi that I made a mistake, because Rabbi explains a different Mishnah that we're talking about manazin al pischei, that the Korban Pesach itself is not completely kaddish, and that's why you can invite a zayna to the Korban Pesach. Therefore, when it comes to the original price, when I asked you why can the money become chulin, the answer is because the Korban Pesach wasn't kaddish. And now the Gemara brings all the background which the Gemara said it earlier. So he said to me, he started off the next Gemara, and then we'll understand better what he said. By he to Abishah. That's that. If a woman gives a zoyna, if a man gives a zoyna, a korban which is already kaddish, she's allowed to bring it on the mizbeach. If he gives a bird, which are chulin, you can't bring it on the mizbeach. So if you bring a sheep which is a korban, she can. A bird which is not a korban, she can't. Now the Beis goes back and forth. The Mishnah goes back and forth with kavachimas, one way back and forth. Which one's more chomer? Does anybody know what's more chomer, animals or birds? Go on in kabbanas. Animals are. In what way are they more chomer?
What way?
In what way are they more chomer? In what way are we more makpid on the halachas of animals and birds? We did have it once. The halacha is an animal that has a baal mum is no good. A bird that's got a mum is okay as long as it's not missing a whole limb. Says the Mishnah that this doesn't make any sense. We just said that korban which is kaddish you're allowed to, the bird she's not allowed to. Shahir bidin, we should have come like this. Umay mukdosh with an animal which is kaddish hamum poisa bohead. That mum makes it no good. Ein estan umechil chol alei. She can bring it as a korban. Or if it's she'ein hamum poisa bohead, when there's no problem with a mum, It's not a kind of chayma that if a bird which were less makpid, because you're allowed to bring a bird about mum, of course you can bring it. So Talmud Lema lechol neder. Kol neder, the Rabbi says, first include birds, that if you bring a bird as an esnan zoyna, what's the din? If you bring it's awesome. Kavachim says, well, so let's do the other way around now. Kavachim lemukdoshin. Me'ato. Let's be kavachim the other way around. Ma'oifer she'ena mum poisa bohen. Esnan umechil chol alei. If already a bird, there's no problem with mum. But esnan, there is a problem. Mukdoshin shamum poisa bohen. If you got korban and suddenly gets a mum, you're not allowed to use it. Any din she'esnan umechil chol alei. Tamudim alachon neder prak lenodu. It says lachon neder, anything which is going to make a neder, not nodu, which is already is a neder. And the Gemara asks the kasha, the Talmud goes to only because the Torah gives us a drosha. If not for that, I would have said that what? That it's us. How could it be when otherwise it's not his? So what could the Gemara have answered, by the way? Well, Beis says that. But that was going to say Beis. What did the buyer want to answer? Anybody remember Shutrin Kelechaim? What did the buyer want to answer to this question? No, better. That is going. It's going like a Beis Aglili that says Kodshim Kalim is Momen Baalim and not Momen Gavoya. But Abaya never answered. The Beis came first. Beis was the previous generation. If you look in the chart, it was 3 generations earlier than Abaya. So Beis man is in our Pischei v'Rebbe, and therefore Beis said we talk about man is in our Pischei because the Korban Pesach is not properly kadosh. You still got rights to use it for other things. And therefore, now says Abayas, I've got to retract what I want to say. So I'm going to be forced to say it's like Rebbe, and that Rebbe holds that what that a person can still add to his Korban Pesach. It's not got full kedusha, and there's a raya that the Korban Pesach itself is missing some kedusha. You can still add. So if I am makdish a shippas Korban Pesach, what I mean to say is that this is the korban which I'm going to bring as Korban Pesach, but not that it's fully kaddish. That I'm going to allow you to buy in, and therefore, if you bring me £10. The £10 goes to me, Chulin, and the Kedusha from the £10 goes where? Onto the animal. Now the world goes into Rabbi. Rabbi, my Rabbi, the Tanya. That you're allowed to get yourself life from the cell. What the world explain? Only for eating, but not for selling. That means, you can't say to somebody, you know what, I fancy a new suit. Come and buy some of the Korban Pesach that I should get a new suit. That's not allowed. But only for that which is necessary for the Korban Pesach. The more explain. Even for business purposes. If it's not enough money to do business, that's part of the Kedusha when Kaisel Makdish the Korban Pesach. The more explains. If a person's got no wood, and he needs to buy wood to roast it, everybody agrees that you're allowed to sell a portion of Korban Pesach. To buy wood, why? To give it to the Pesach, who give for the Pesach, it's like a Korban Pesach. So yes, I can't afford wood. I can sell a portion of Korban Pesach to buy wood. You try to get yourself something else, matzah more. That you can't sell part of Korban Pesach matzah more. Since it's machshir Korban Pesach, go for the Pesach dummy. And this points out that according to this, nobody allows you to invite a zoyna onto it. And at this stage of the Gemara, indeed, the Gemara's answer previously doesn't work. Everybody agrees you're allowed to sell, to buy matzah moed. The kivim to machshir the Pesach. The look Pesach is part of the Pesach. That everything which is for the life of the sheep, that's matzah moed, etc. Anything which you want to live is allowed to from the seh. So according to Rabbi, you can sell parts of the seh for anything that you need. Now, we had 2 different understandings as to why you can sell parts of the Korban Pesach. Rabbi Oisha told us because the seh is not properly kodesh, and that's why if you invite her Esnan Zoyna, you can invite her. Abai never really liked that. What did Abai really believe? What did Abai originally want to say? Does anybody remember? Why can you buy Korban Pesach with Mois of Kodesh and let the Korban Pesach stay Kodesh the Mois of Cholin? That's what Oishias. Because the money itself was never really Kodesh. What was the money for? Just to be able to buy it. Now, if you look at the Beis carefully, what's the loss of the Beis? So the Beis says, because that when Klali saw a Makdish the Korban Pesach, they were not Makdish it completely. but rather they will makdish it that people should still be able to buy in. Is that like a buy or like a boishia? It's like a boishia. Says, well, a buy, don't my love, the boishia like he. If a boishia want to explain like that, when man is not a Pesachim Rabbi, I would make me no law. I would have said Bekochim Kalim, but if the Beis Aglili, I would have said that Mishnah in Tamur is a Beis Aglili, and by Bekochim Kalim, the Bekochim Kalim on Balimhu. Our Pesach Mishayin is a person is mekdish the whole korban. Hoktani behedya. The Beis says clearly, Shamanos genik dishu soles Pesachim. The Mishnah says clearly that the reason why you can buy into korban Pesach is why? Because the korban is not kodesh. Not like you are buyer. And says the money of the korban Pesach, when you designate it in order that you should have the power to be able then to invite people. Because Abai says, I'm going to agree to Boisha. So we have two different things we have to explain. Like the Beis over here that you can buy money of korban Pesach and the money becomes chulin. The maskana says sugya. Why is that?
Right.
Yeah, what's the reason? Why can you buy and the money becomes chulin? Does anybody know why is it?
The money is only for the purpose.
No, that's a buyer. Boisha says because the korban's not kodesh. And what's pshat in that Mishnah by Tamur that you need a special pasuk not for the pasuk? Why is that? Why do you need a special Mishnah? Why do you need a special drasha? Anyway, it's not yours. What's the Gemara's answer to the maskana? It's Rabbi that you manage somebody else Pischi, and Rabbi says you're allowed to sell parts of korban Pesach because korban Pesach is not properly kodesh, and not that it's a Beis Aglili that it's kodesh kalim. Okay, it is. Tomorrow I'm going to get to the bottom of Tzadik Amud Beis, a new Mishnah from Motzei Shabbos, and then we'll see what Shabbos will be literally literally bang on, but it means that we'll have to work out for Tanis Esther and thing. Okay, what? Oh, 8:15 or 8:30? Did you not see? Because of obviously, it has to be 8:30. Are we sure?